Welcome to the Indiana Farmer. So a lot of times in the winter, there's usually a lot of meetings and stuff like that for different types of machinery and fertilizer and seed, and that's where I'm going tonight. I spent a lot of the day doing financial stuff today, doing books, figuring out stuff for my operating loan, and just paying off stuff here and there. But hopefully we don't have any babies while I'm gone, but we're going to head out to the meeting I'm going to, and hopefully we can get an interview with him. So we'll talk to you in a little bit. Oh, there we go. I'm here at Owen Goodman's, and he is a salesman for Precision Planting. One of the meetings I go to every winter is how to maintain my planter and maybe some upgrades on my planter. In my opinion, planting is the most important part of the seed year, the growing seed year. So every year he has a meeting, and also sometimes I just stop in just to see kind of what's going on. And here's Owen. So you are a salesman for Precision Planting. Yes. And explain to me just a little bit what that is for somebody who doesn't even know what precision planting would be, or precision ag in general. What would that be?
Yeah, so precision planting actually started back in the 90s when a farmer like you and I both was frustrated with how equipment worked, how planters worked, and wanted a better solution to the OEM systems that were out there. And so he started in a garage and continued to grow and figured out how to make them work better, more efficiently.
Would you like to kind of explain what some of this stuff is? I know we're going to have, there's farmers watching, but maybe there's some people who don't even farm, never been on a farm.
Yeah. So
even what maybe some of the stuff is.
Sure. So there's all kinds. Precision planting has, we offer two different styles of monitors right now that monitor everything across your planter, from not just seeds per acre, which is population, right, but singulation, every skip, every double that happens within a meter, and actual spacing and downforce. And we have seed release. We can do liquid products.
So exactly, what is singulation for some people?
Yeah, so singulation is what we're asking a planter to do. Is we dump a bag of corn in, which is typically 80,000 kernels, and we want every seed planted at roughly 6 inches apart. So that spacing is going to depend on what population we're planting, right? So, but we want one seed every time. And that's what singulation is. And so what our display is doing is, as seeds fall down the seed tube, we can tell you if there's one missing, or if we planted 2 seeds and it's only supposed to be 1. So the goal behind singulation is higher yield. So it's higher productivity. So you and I, Aaron, as we plant, and all the other farmers out there, you're spending the same money per bag for every pass that you make in that field to plant a crop. And so our goal is to help you with singulation and with monitoring all the things that we're monitoring and controlling, is ultimately to have a better yield at the end.
Well, you got a display here, so is there anything, like, maybe kind of explains maybe some of the new products that you might want to sell me, Owen,
Yeah. So there's quite a few things. The row unit is not a precision row unit, but it is a row unit that we offer. We offer actually multiple row units.
So as you're going through the field, that's the front of the planter.
This is the front. So these are row cleaners. Row cleaners are removing residue from that. So when we come in with our seed blades, which again, this is half of the row unit is kind of taken apart here, so you can kind of visualize and get inside of it, right? So there's 2 seed blades, and what we want to do, remove the residue, so when the seed blades come through, it's a clean, open trench that when the seed comes down and falls in, there's no residue down in here, because that affects germination. Residue is removed. We come in with seed openers. They open it. The box is holding the seed. Here's your meter. This turning, okay, and just in general, at a we're running roughly 15 seeds per second is what we're asking this meter to actually singulate, pick up one seed, deliver one seed all the way to the ground.
And that is for what? How many seeds per acre?
Roughly 32,000.
32,000 seeds per acre.
34,000. So we have, what you see here is a fertilizer attachment. It's what we call conceal. It's a split gauge wheel, and on the other side you can actually see what it looks like. But this knife is for applying nitrogen 3 inches away from the row unit. And then as we come back, in the row unit we have a seed firmer, but this is a special seed firmer called a smart firmer. It's measuring soil temperature, it measures soil moisture, it measures residue that might be left in the seed trench, and it also measures organic matter, and it displays that up on the monitor.
Yeah.
So we can make an active decision today of, is ground too cold, too wet, too dry? Am I deep enough? Okay, as we set our depth. Behind that we have a fertilizer attachment that can go, can drop fertilizer directly on top of the seed, or we can go through the wing, and then we have a closing system.
So just out of curiosity, are people going back to the 3x3, or is 2x2 still pretty standard?
Yeah, so 2x2 is still standard. The industry right now, all over, not just precision planting, but companies all over are doing a tremendous amount of research on dual style fertilizer, okay, or dual placement.
Yeah.
In furrow, like we have with FurrowJet, and off to the side like we have with Conceal. The numbers, the results keep coming back that higher yields when we can add 2 fertilizer systems, more nitrogen right up front,
yeah,
and a starter with the fertilizer or with the seed. So splitting on both sides of the row has always continues to come back as an edge, okay? But I would be very cautious. I don't want to see what, for me, I would rather see a guy go 2x2 only versus split and go 3x3 over on each side, okay? So the goal would be when we go to a split dual band, if you will, on each side, 3 inches over, we want to see fertilizer right next to the seed.
Right.
Okay, your biggest bang, I would rather see a guy go here, right by the seed, than go 3 inches over.
Gotcha.
That seed needs fertilizer. It needs food right out of the gate.
Yeah.
When it germinates, that root is sucking in nutrients.
Okay.
Okay, so it's living off the starch of the seed, and it will live off the starch of the seed for, well, it's a growth stage, okay, but we want that fertilizer to be there because it will stimulate root growth, and it will bring in nutrients, and it creates a healthier plant.
Okay, so right. Now the closing wheels.
Yeah, so we have, so this is our it's Furrow Force. It's a 2-stage system. There's all kinds of closing systems out there, but this is one that Precision has come with. This system is to, as these lift and fracture, they're going to lift, they lift and roll that trench and completely disintegrate so you cannot see at all where that seed slot was. And then these are called stitch wheels that have pressure on them, and there, as this gets rolled, and it's packing it down. So it's firming it up to help retain moisture, covering it up.
Is that an airbag right there?
This is an airbag. So we have a load pin here where we're measuring weight, and we have an airbag. So this, we're asking for a certain amount of weight here to firm up that trench.
That adjusts
on the load pin, down.
You're actually adjusting the bag pressure on
that. Is correct.
Oh, cool.
And so what it is going to do is it's going to act like our downforce system, which we never even covered, but it's going to continually maintain a certain amount of pressure on this system all the time, so we ensure a closed seed trench from this end of the field to that end of the field.
I'm actually here too because he went over on some things on the phone, and I have a Kinsey planner. He has a Kinsey planner up over here, so I'm gonna ask him a couple questions about mine, and eventually what I'm gonna do is fix my planner at some point here. But I think I've let some things go for a couple of years, and I don't want to get yelled at by Owen, but I might get yelled at. You might see this on camera of me getting yelled at. He has a Kinsey sitting here. I assume you're working on it, or is this your Kinsey now? Or are you redoing it?
This is a customer's plan.
Customer, okay. So I'm going to turn the camera around. So 2 questions I have. One of them is on seed tubes in general. I'm pretty sure I've never changed seed tubes unless it was completely not working, unless if I wasn't given a signal on the monitors for all those people, all the monitors up there.
Yeah.
So what does a seed tube need to look like? What for, going into the spring?
Yeah, so there's a couple styles of seed tubes, right? So this here is what we call a wave vision seed tube.
And now this is half the planter for people who are just who don't know. We took off that wheel, or he did. He took off that wheel and just happen to have half of a planter here. So show me about the seed tube. Yeah.
So the seed tube is sitting in here, right? The meter's dropping in, your seed's coming down. So this one here is what we call wave vision. It's different than a lot of seed tubes which have an optical eye up higher, but the process is the same.
And that's what mine has, is the optical eye up high. So it must have been the older version.
Which we can fix that. However, But nothing wrong really with an optical eye. The wave vision is a better style.
Okay.
It does not so dust and sunlight that we get sometimes when we start getting flaky readings. Okay, as we get wind blowing and a lot of dust, we'll often get really flaky population readings with an optical eye.
Okay.
The wave vision does not do that. It's measuring the density of that kernel, and so no dust, anything. It doesn't affect it at all, and we're always accurate.
So what starts to happen once your seed tubes wear?
So what can happen, there's several things that can happen. A lot of times what happens is this seed tube gets shoved around, and you can see how there's mud in here. So 2019 was not a friendly year to a lot of farmers across the U.S., right? A lot of mud. And what can happen is the seed tube can get shoved over one direction, and it can start rubbing on the blade. Right? And what happens then is it wears out the bottom of the seed tube, it gets thin, and it can start to curl in.
So then it's throwing the seed off to the side in the trench.
So as the seed comes down, it can hit that, and it can bounce it around in the trench, and it changes your spacing. Gotcha. So it destroys everything that you've spent, all because you have a little bit of a seed tube that needs to be replaced.
And the crazy thing is you wouldn't be able to see that on the monitor, because at the point, everything's working right. It's just the last.
Because we're already, so on an optical eye, you're already past the eye.
Right.
So anything that happens from the eye down, we can't see anymore.
Right.
Okay. Right. So there's several things that can fix that problem, right? So you can replace seed tubes all day long. If you don't fix the problem, then it's going to continue to happen, right? So one of the things that Precision has put in their seed tubes, and it's a little bit difficult to see on this one, but on a normal seed tube, you see this little square here?
Yeah, I think.
All right, so that's a tungsten carbide piece. And we put them in on our regular seed tubes also. We have a little bullet, that's a tungsten carbide bullet, that will ride against the plate if it gets shoved over, and it will keep the seed tube from getting worn out. Okay. The second thing is this farmer put Keaton seed firmers on, and this one you can see has been bent backwards and needs to be replaced. But the bracket that's in here holds that in place. You see how I can't move that?
Right.
And there's a gap in between this blade, and there would be a gap in between here. So this is also a protector to hold that seed tube solid so it can't rub against the blades. So you might be okay.
All right. Well, okay. Now the second question I have for you, Owen, is I noticed, what is the right distance between? I'm sorry. What is the right distance between a blade and then your gauge wheels?
So you want your gauge wheel. So as these are running, right, you want these always brushing the blade, lightly brushing the blade.
Always.
Always.
So there should be no gap.
There should not be a gap.
You're going to see a gap. I guarantee you. There's a gap on mine. Okay. So how do you adjust that then?
Okay. Well, there's two ways to adjust, and I guess let's just pick this one.
I mean, do your tires wear out to the point where it's just you got to put new wheels on, or can you just?
So you can wear this rubber out, of course, because it's always rubbing, right?
Is this the gate? Is this your?
It's not.
Okay. I didn't know once it hit, then. Okay.
So on this style, there's little shims.
Right.
And you move shims from the inside, basically, from the inside to the outside and vice versa, to to adjust that distance.
Can you get it too tight?
Yeah, you can get them too tight. You can get them too tight.
What
to
happens
where
when they start getting too tight?
you
can't do
put the
that.
planter down,
Yeah.
and when you lift it up, it stays up in the
No.
air, and it's not riding correctly, which messes with your depth.
Right. I think I'm going the other way. I don't think I have that problem.
Right.
So yeah.
So then this
And this is a
style-
John Deere unit for anybody who might not know.
And then there's this style here, which can be put on Kinseys.
Okay.
But what this style allows you to do is just loosen the nut up,
Look at that. Oh yeah.
and then you can spin this one here, right? This nut, and this is a threaded bushing,
On both
and it can
sides.
just move it in and out. So it's a lot simpler, and you can fine tune it and get it exactly where you want.
What's the biggest thing you should check for before we start spraying as a farmer on your planter? What's one thing that you notice all the time that people have an issue with?
Yeah. So to me, meters. It's all about meters to me. Okay, that's where the company started, and it's about getting the seed right. It's about planting one seed all the time. That's what we're after. It's because at the end of the day, it's about harvestable ears, right? And the rest of the planter builds on that. It's starter, it's downforce. As we again, we didn't talk much about the downforce, but keeping the right amount of pressure down on your gauge wheels on the bottom, and to make sure that our seed blades stay down at depth, because we don't want shallow or too deep planted seed.
Right.
Your fertilizer systems are probably one of the biggest headaches farmers have.
Yeah.
Hot water and some time will fix that problem.
Yeah.
So clean your fertilizer systems, make sure they're clean your filters, and have that all ready to go.
We're talking loss per acre. I mean, if you have, let's say your meters aren't correct, or just in general, I know that's kind of a really big question.
That's a pretty wild question, really,
Okay.
right? And the answer can get pretty crazy. Truthfully, I've seen, as guys are planting, over $40 an acre hit, okay, across the planter, which we display on our monitor, right?
So 40, 50 bucks isn't out of the question.
No, I've seen that. Is that high? Sure, that's high. There's a lot of times guys are running in what we call a good category, where it's less than $3-4 an acre.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's what.
But I've seen it. I've seen it all over the board.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for watching. Hey, thank you, Owen. I appreciate you spending some time with me today. And please subscribe, and we'll catch you next time.